In today's video, we'll be looking at the top 10 isekai where the main character is actually overpowered but pretends to be weak. We begin the list at number 10, as most top 10 lists do, with the anime titled Demon Spirit Seed Manual. This show follows the life of a teenage otaku named Yuan Ding, who's suddenly transported into a fantasy world without any idea why or how it happens. Yuan initially assumes that since he's been reborn in the fantasy world, he's automatically supposed to be a powerful adventurer. Unfortunately, when he tries this out, he discovers that he has no magic talent and then goes on to fail his entrance examination into the Magic Academy. With no way to return home, Yuan continues to live in the fantasy world and becomes a farmer until he accidentally activates something called the Fairy Seed. He almost dies as a result, but he survives and gains the powers of a demon spirit. Using these new powers, Yuan masters the art of fairy fusion and becomes instantly overpowered. At number 9, we have the cautious hero. The hero is overpowered but overly cautious. From the title, that was the title actually, you can already guess what the story is about. This anime focuses on a young man named Seiya, who's transported to the divine realm by the goddess of healing, Restarte. The reason for this is that the goddess needs a hero to help her save a world from an S-class demon lord, but when she recruits Seiya, she finds out that he's overly cautious. Even though he is extremely overpowered, he requires extra careful preparation before fighting enemies or going on mission. Seiya is so careful that he even uses a fake-out skill to hide his true power and analyzes the strengths of his opponents to determine if he can defeat them easily. And although this behavior might seem annoying at first, you get to warm up to Seiya over the episodes and eventually fall in love with his hard work and determination to level up. At number 8, we have the anime titled War God System, I'm Counting on You. Yeah, they're really phoning it in with these titles at this point. But anyways, the anime is the story of a young man named An Lin, a mortal who was heavily in debt and was pursued by loan sharks before meeting his savior. This happens when he meets a strange practitioner who gives him a set of God of War systems and then sends him to the supernatural world so he can practice. After being saved by loan sharks, An Lin is sent to cultivate at the Immortal Cultivation United University and immediately gets admitted after showing his recommendation letter. At first, An Lin has a hard time figuring out what he's doing, making him look weak, so other students naturally mock him. However, he doesn't give up and keeps training until he finally understands the miraculous power of the War God system. Eventually, he expands his powers with blistering speed to prove all the other students wrong before deciding to embark on a journey to discover a new world so he can become a fake mighty cultivator. Battle Game in 5 Seconds takes the 7th spot on the list. Akira Shiroyanagi, a high schooler who loves games and Japanese sweets, finds himself suddenly dragged into a video game battlefield by the game master Mion. Akira and the other participants are forced to fight according to predetermined rules. Each player has a unique special ability for battle, and their existence has been erased in the real world where they're considered dead. However, unlike other players, Akira's ability changes depending on what the opponent thinks it is, so he hides his true power and uses mind games and tricks to deceive opponents into assuming things he can use to his advantage. At number 6, we have the anime Summoned to Another World for the second time. In this show, the protagonist, named Setsu, is transported to a fantasy world for the second time, go figure, after already being summoned there 5 years ago. This time, he's sent there as an even younger boy, so he basically has a different identity, and the people in the fantasy don't recognize him as the hero from before, so they just assume he's a weak kid like the rest of his classmates who were also summoned. However, it doesn't take too long before they find out how overpowered he really is. Because he's been there before, he has a lot of experience, and it's kinda like playing a game for the second time. Setsu shows off his powers and becomes even more powerful than he was the first time, thanks to the knowledge and experience that he already has. Overall, he becomes the OP hero once again, and then sets off to finish the mission he was summoned for, which is to obviously save the world, no small task. Number 5 on this list is Farming Life in Another World. As the name implies, the hero in this anime begins a quiet life of farming in you guessed it, another world, not knowing that he's gonna end up with overpowered stats. After Hiraku dies of a serious illness, God takes pity on him because of how fair he lived and decides to bring him back to life, granting him his health and youth back. When Hiraku wakes up to see that he's been given a second chance to live, he decides to find his new purpose and chooses to become a peaceful farmer so he can enjoy his new life in the fantasy world. And God gives him the almighty farming tool, which can transform into any useful instrument he wishes, including weapons for combat. Think Green Lantern, but as a farmer, I guess. Although Hiraku might seem like a harmless, powerless human in the fantasy world, the blessing from God turns him into one of the most powerful humans to exist in that realm. Using the special abilities to adapt to anything, Hiraku opens a big farm and hires a lot of people to work for him there. Apart from being a successful farmer, Hiraku also ends up having one of the largest harems ever because the workers on his farm are mostly women who've developed feelings for him. At number 4, the anime we've picked is titled The Greatest Demon Lord is Reborn as a Typical Nobody. Yeah, so this is not much of a thinker either. The story focuses on the life of a powerful demon named Varvatos, who gets bored of being the most powerful being in the world and then gets reincarnated as a young boy, Ard Meteor, in a world where magic is very common. And because magic is so common in this new world, Ard pretends to be powerless even though he used to be the Demon Lord. He just wants to adapt to his new life as a typical high school student. But after a while, he makes friends and blends in, but it doesn't take long before his true powers as an almighty being are revealed, as he soon realizes that his old enemies from his past life are still active, so he decides to use his skills as a human being to fight them, protect his friends, and naturally save the world from evil. Taking the number 3 spot on this list is Infinite Stratos. In this anime, the protagonist, named Ichika Orimura, turns out to be the only male who's capable of piloting an Infinite Stratos, which is like a powerful mecha suit that can ordinarily only be operated by women. Because of his rare ability, he's enrolled in the Infinite Stratos Academy against his will, and as a result, he ends up being the only man in a school full of women. Sounds like a pretty good problem to have. Initially, he appears to be weak and terrible at operating the Infinite Stratos, making the females mock and underestimate him. However, Ichika masters the controls on his customized mecha suit, and combined with his impressive combat skills, he becomes an overpowered hero whom all the others finally respect. At number 2, we have the Testament of Sister New Devil, and in this show, Basara Tuujo, a normal high school student, suddenly finds out that his father is getting remarried. And in yet another shocking twist, he finds out that he's also getting new sisters. However, when they arrive, they turn out to be working for the Demon Lord. Of course. How many times have I mentioned Demon Lord? Can somebody in the comments tell me, because it feels like it's been more than 10. But upon realizing this, Basara reveals his true identity as a former member of the hero clan that fights against demons. Damn, what a twist. And if that wasn't complicated enough, the girls force Basara into a master-servant contract, and Basara ends up becoming their master. They end up forming a bond as Basara finds himself protecting them from the other demons that are trying to hurt them. Some might even call him the Demon Slayer, but copyright probably wouldn't. Anyways, finally, at our number 1 spot, we have picked the anime titled The Eminence in Shadow, a nice, creative, well thought out title. Let's go. The story is about a Japanese boy who is obsessed with immortality and how he finally achieves it when he gets reincarnated as a man named Sid, the leader of the secret organization called Shadow Garden. And just as a quirky, fun game, write down in the comments what you think that our boy Sid is fighting against. And those who actually watch this, don't cheat, we know you know. Everybody else, comment down below. Demons? Yeah, it's demons. So Sid's ultimate goal is to destroy the Diablo's denomination to stop them from resurrecting the ancient demons. And after the protagonist becomes Sid, he decides to continue this mission. Even though he's extremely overpowered in combat, he prefers to act weak and live out his delusions so he can fulfill his mystical fantasies. Well, that's where I relate with him. My delusions are grand. But this is mainly because of his ambition to remain a mysterious warrior, but because of how OP he is, he soon realizes that his imaginary enemies actually exist, and it doesn't take too long before his true strengths are revealed. Anyways, that's all we have for today's video. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I guess I'll see you next time on Otaku Odyssey, or you'll hear me and I'll just manifest you watching the video. So, until next time, take care.